Welcome to Pitch It To Me Podcast, a show about the subjective past, present, and potential future of flesh and blood design. Today's episode will be about the keynote speech and insights from the 2025 World Championship. You can find us across all of our socials, such as Blue Sky and Instagram, at Pitch It To Me Podcast.
I'm Clark.
I'm Fuzzy.
And god damn it, fucking Chair is here again.
Hi, Chair.
We've been doing a lot of two-person episodes lately, haven't we, Fuzzy?
Yeah, we've been pretty busy. It's always best when we can get all three of us here to record, and we're sorry if you guys miss one or two of us every once in a while.
Yeah, this week was because Joel had a work trip that he got back from, like, today.
Yeah.
So it was it was a lot on him, and he was like, I don't know if I can record this week, and based on the timing, we really wanted to record, like, right after the World Championship, rather than what we've done in the past where we record an episode, like, 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time, and then we release an episode that has nothing to do with Worlds.
Yeah.
So we're just going to be a little bit more on time this week.
Yeah, Clark and I are recording on Sunday, the Sunday of the World Championships, to be released Tuesday. Yep. So quick turnaround.
Just 1 hour after the World's final match has concluded.
Yeah, congratulations to Michael Yazger for winning Worlds on Syndra and Dash.io.
Yeah, he had a really stellar performance, clutching out an insane LL game to stay in the finals, like dropped to 1 health, opponents at 36. And with only 1 cerebellum processor on the field goes, I have to combo off this turn, and just made it happen. I mean, wow. It came down to, with his 1 extra action point, he activates cerebellum processor to draw the high octane that he needed to keep going on the turn. Like, it was that tight.
That's so hype.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely clutched it out. Also, with Worlds, man, I have some serious Worlds FOMO.
Yeah, you wanted to go this year?
We were talking a lot about attending Worlds, but then work started to get busy for me. Joel had his work trip. You obviously were not really going to have the time or the money to go just because of how crazy your schedule's been. But, like, I was the one in a position to, like, make it happen, if anybody. And I was talking with Will from Table and Legs about it. I was talking with Smurf. I was talking with a lot of different content creators about going, and I was like, no, like, there's going to be other events in the future, and if I travel, I think I want to travel for friends than for flesh and blood tournaments.
Yeah, because we're at that weird time called 2025 where we have more and more friends that are outside of the United States because they've moved away from the United States into other countries.
Yeah.
So keeping travel money is, like, really nice right now.
It's really, really nice, honestly. And ultimately, though, God, everyone looks like they had so much goddamn fun. And I should have been there, dude. I should have been there.
It's okay because they announced some other events happening in the near future, a little bit closer to us, like Pro Tour Las Vegas is this June.
Yeah, or the Calling San Diego in February. So
yeah, there's going to be some cool stuff in our area.
There's going to be good stuff.
I think with that, let's move on to closer to what our main topic is going to be.
Yeah.
So while everyone was gathered in Philadelphia, Brian Gottlieb delivered the keynote speech to the masses. And this episode is going to be about a lot of the information that they gave us, because our podcast, we love to pick apart all the little details that they reveal to us during these big keynote speeches.
LSS says something, and then we absolutely tear it apart with a fine-tooth comb.
Yep. So we want to ask you, before we get into it, scroll down to the comments. What was your favorite moment from the keynote speech this year?
Because we're going to be talking about a lot of them. But I still want to hear if you've had a specific standout moment. I know a lot of people were saying, like, the Howling Mines shout out was really, really great.
In Red Pitch today, we're going to be talking about the Compendium of Rathe, the next set to be released by Legend Story Studios. In Yellow Pitch, we're going to talk about Silver Age and what the format's going to look like in the future. And then if we have time, in Blue Pitch, we're going to do a quick little tidbits of little things that we couldn't quite fit into those other pitches, but felt important enough to bring up.
Yeah, probably going to be a shorter section, but let's keep things moving so that we don't have an hour and a half long episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, this is actually funny, Fuzzy, because we're going to take it away, but I'm going to pass it right back to you. This is a supplemental product, Compendium of Rathe, the brand new set.
Before I dive into some numbers, I do want to say I think it is radical that we're doing a supplemental set at all. Mm-hmm. It's been a long time. The last one was Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes. which was right before Bright Lights, right before the introduction of the expansion slot, which sort of made the need for a supplemental set moot.
Yeah, with more expansion slot cards being printed, there's less need for us to return to these supplemental sets. And I also like to think of Dusk Till Dawn as the set where we started our podcast. We've literally been podcasting for as long as there has not been supplemental sets.
Yeah, which has been over 2 years now.
Yeah. So the fact that they're doing a non-draftable set is also, in a weird way, indicative of how little people care about draft nowadays. They're making a push not just towards Silver Age, but away from draft. And it's interesting that they decided to use a supplemental set to really show that off. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of us are really hyped for it. We've been really big proponents of supplemental sets on our podcast, so we're really excited to see them try it again with a little bit of a refresh.
If you've been listening to our podcast at all over the past year, I'd say a reoccurring theme that has been brought up, especially by guests like Talon Stradley, is the necessity for more common and rare support. And we've been feeling like old heroes get left behind a lot. Flesh and Blood's always trying to do something new with every single release. And so Compendium of Rathe really feels like a dedication to, yes, we have been feeling that too. Here is a set to address it.
I'm so glad you brought that up. It's not just good for formats like Silver Age that are literally just commons and rares, but it's also good for CC to have that foundation of accessible cards for people to build their decks around.
Yeah, I mean, like, how long have I been saying that the main issue with Guardian is just like, we just have to board in too many different crush effects to target different strategies, that we need more general crush effects. Or like that there just needs to be like a few more seismic surge generators or a few more good blue high attack costs. Like sometimes it's just a little bit of ratios of what a card is doing in your list that can make a big difference into how viable it actually is to bring to a tournament. So hopefully quite a few old decks and old heroes get revitalized as a result of this.
And one thing I'm really excited about, something that they're making the heart of this set, is its Compendium of Rathe. We're going to be revisiting old mechanics in Flesh and Blood's history.
Fuck yes.
It's kind of like they were holding back on this. The way they described it in the article is, now that Flesh and Blood is about 7 years old, it's possible to be nostalgic about older cards. Yeah. So they're like, now that we've developed enough of a game that we can go back and revisit things. Like, they haven't said this explicitly, but I'm imagining things like Reprise from Welcome to Rathe, Intimidate, combo lines, potentially extending combo lines from older parts in the game, or like, well, I wish I had more examples there.
There is one explicit example. We have seen a card released that explicitly says Phoenix Flame on it.
Yeah.
So we are getting Phoenix Flame support. 5 gets a card, everybody.
This is what supplemental sets do. They're kind of supposed to directly print to older heroes and give them a little bit of breath of fresh life.
Yeah. And that happening at the common and rare level feels really, really nice. Now, I did hear it as a rumor, and maybe someone who actually went to Worlds could maybe confirm this or not, but there was a little handout that went along with the Compendium release where it had some cards to show off. We'll be talking about a few of those later in the episode. But it also mentioned that there would only be one new keyword from this set.
In other words, all of the mechanics in the set are based on older keywords, and they're just having refreshed, newer designs of them, except for one keyword.
Which I presume is going to be Sharpen. Again, I don't know if that was stated explicitly in that statement, or if this was an assumption. The information comes at you so fast, especially when you're not at the event, that it can be hard to track down or just remember sources. But Sharpen is this thing that is centered around the Hala Armory deck. Our first new Armory deck origins that we've had in a very long time. That'll be interesting to talk about. But this Sharpen mechanic looks interesting, and I presume that would see a little bit more support in Compendium of Rathe to pair alongside that Armory deck origins to make sure that there is enough there to upgrade and develop the deck.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Or access the cards outside of the Armory deck origins, which we know typically carries a more expensive cost with it. So printing like commons and rares from that set elsewhere helps a lot with accessibility.
Sure. Can we talk about how this product is going to be a little bit different than other supplemental sets we've seen in the past?
Yes, this is, and I think it's the first time we've seen LSS explicitly call something a premium product. Maybe they called the Living Legend Armory decks premium Armory decks or something along those lines, or like for collectors only, like when they did the Light and Shadow box.
The MSRP for these boxes in the US is supposed to be $145, which is about like $20, $30, $40 more than a typical booster box, right, Clark?
Mhm.
And there's only 9 cards per pack, which is in supplemental sets. That's not that weird. I think they've done 10 cards per pack in supplemental sets previously.
Yeah, supplemental sets are typically allowed / expected to have less cards per pack than other sets.
But with that increased MSRP, there's 3 rares per pack instead of only 1. And per box, there's going to be up to 3 cold foils per box instead of the standard 1.
Mm-hmm. And there's going to be a guaranteed Antiquities pack. So gold packs are making a return. Antiquities pack is a callback to the treasure pack for High Seas.
Yes.
Which a lot of people really enjoyed it. But I and many other players expressed an issue with the treasure packs of it being a value being taken away from the average packs, moved into this gold pack, which could then be removed by local game stores, by tournament organizers. And that felt a little gross to me, that like the average value of a pack was being devalued because the guaranteed cold foil per box was moving there. Not an issue in Compendium of Rathe, because the 3 cold foils that are guaranteed are in the packs themselves, not including the Antiquities pack.
I don't think you're guaranteed 3. They say up to in the marketing.
You're right. They do say up to 3.
But it's not like if there's a cold foil in your Antiquity pack, it's not going to show up in the box. It's not like that. It's its own pack with its own set of cards and rarities, and you're not going to like... You have... Yeah. Mm-hmm. In High Seas, if I just buy a random booster off the shelf, it won't have a cold foil because the treasure pack has a cold foil. But in Compendium of Rathe, you can kind of just buy one booster pack and know what you're going to be.
Yeah, there is still the chance of pulling that cold foil, which is really, really nice in my eyes.
And then since it's not a draftable set, the store isn't going to like open a box and then like hand out the booster packs and keep the Antiquities pack for themselves. They'll still probably do something like that for their boxes on their shelf. I don't really know, but I think makes a little bit more sense to have this sort of a thing in a non-draftable set.
And it's still nice, right? Like I simply appreciate that cold foils are now still pullable in the packs themselves, and that value hasn't been moved to this special pack, which can be removed by someone else who doesn't buy the packs themselves.
So what's in these packs?
So many good shit, Fuzzy. So it looks like big EA reprints. So the ones that they've shown off so far are Balance of Justice.
Mm-hmm.
That's 125 legendary right now. We've had it established that it is being reprinted as a legendary in the set itself, and you can pull the EA version of it with the special Antiquities border in the Antiquities pack.
Dang.
Same thing with Shelter from the Storm, getting a legendary reprint. I was saying it's probably coming in the next set.
It deserves more copies being printed into the game.
But of course they announce it now, so I couldn't put it in my pitching predictions.
We do know that the Antiquities packs are going to have some, we can say, lesser chase value, such as Pursuit of Knowledge.
Yeah, Pursuit of Knowledge has been shown with the Antiquities border and with a set code. So we know that there's going to be some commons and rares that are maybe less desirable. But the third card that they announced as being reprinted is Eye of Ophidia. And not only is Eye of Ophidia getting a reprint in this Antiquities pack, they said Eye of Ophidia is one of multiple fables getting a reprint. Holy shit! That is so huge.
It is. Like more copies of those cards just existing in the world, even if the price doesn't go down, even if all it means is more players have copies of it that they can play, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Now, the most expensive fables, because I did some research into this, it's Eye of Ophidia, Riches of Tripledani, Authority of Ataya, and Library of Solana.
Oh, man.
And 2 of those just got printed, so I don't know if they had enough time to make their way into this Antiquities pack reprint.
And another one, we know that there's only generics in the Antiquities.
Yeah, so it's unlikely that we'll get the Library of Solana. So, like, Is it just hard to find all? And
Command and Conquer reprint? That's iconic as hell.
it was a fable.
It was.
And it was a fable.
And we know they're not restricting to only fables, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we also, I think Find All Spring Tunic is also an established, like, not only did we see the art, but I feel like I've seen the Antiquities card frame on a Find All Spring Tunic somewhere. So another Find All reprint. Hey, once every 2 years, they got to reprint that, drop it to $40, and then let it climb its way back up. It's pretty nice. But I do sort of have a issue with this product. And by issue, I want to make it clear that's not like an issue, but it's more like I think there's a little bit of mixed messaging going on. Sort of like how with Mastery Pack Guardian, there was a little bit of mixed messaging with this is for people who are really established Guardian players, while at the same time being an entry point for new players. And like, with the crack shuffle play being a very large design element for it.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, in Compendium of Rathe, we're being told, hey, this is Sage support. We're going to be like supporting a bunch of old heroes. And like, this is going to be the brand new tournament format. And a bunch of these cards are going to be relevant. And then it costs more and we get less cards per pack. And that's odd because typically cost is always tied to the amount of cardboard simply because that is the raw material cost for LSS to create the product. When Japanese boxes stopped supporting draft, their prices dropped pretty dramatically. Why are we not getting a similar drop here if there's less cardboard per pack?
I think it's a little reductive to say that it's just the cardboard that determines the price of the product.
Mm-hmm.
They are putting more higher rarity cards like foils or rares per pack.
3 cold foils per box, right? That's triple the cost of whatever the cost of making a cold foil is.
So I think they're just trying to make more money.
I mean, hey, LSS is a business and it's got to happen. I'm just saying that is like, if Sage is supposed to be the competitive entry point for players, we want a ton of this being opened so that these commons and rares don't actually cost that much. And if one of them ends up being like top of the meta, super supported, like needs to be in, you need to be running this sort of card, I don't want that card to be $5 to $8 for them.
Like for a rare?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really difficult, especially when there's more rares in Compendium per pack than others. Like, I would not expect the rares to actually be pricey, even though you're paying an extra $1 per booster pack.
And hopefully these antiquities and these multiple cold foils are nice enough to collectors that they buy and open a ton of them.
I'm still expecting lots of Majestics and Legendaries from this set that are worth opening too.
Talking about one of those standout moments from the keynote, Brian Gottlieb sort of turning and as an aside to everyone in the audience going, Dust to Dawn was the best sold set of all time, followed by everyone in the audience going, what the fuck are you talking about? There's no way that was the most sold set ever. But hey, he's got the data and we don't,
Yeah, someone mentioned on the Discord that that's when they stopped doing print to demand. So that was when distributors started being like, look, this is what I got. You can't buy more of this product even though you want to. Like Dust Till Dawn got bought as much as it wanted to. There was no like discrepancy,
Yeah.
But with High Seas, like people wanted to buy the product, but they couldn't get their hands on it. Would High Seas have been sold more if people could actually buy the product that they wanted,
Who knows? One thing I do know, though, is also that Dust to Dawn had a lot of collector buzz around it, especially around those artist proofs being those chain artist proofs.
Yeah.
So
and Prism.
in terms of like boxes being sold to people, the big collector stuff is, I think, the thing that makes the biggest difference, because those are the people who will buy 1,000, 2,000 boxes.
Yeah.
We are never, no matter how much the product is made for us, the player, I doubt we will ever be able to buy the volume of boxes to match the purchasing power of the whales.
Yeah.
And it's why Magic the Gathering is now all in on collector boosters. Like there's a reason that company made that decision, and there's a reason they're selling more Magic now than they have ever before. If this set is a slight shift towards it. I don't know. What I do like, though, is that this is not established as a new norm moving forward, right?
Okay.
This is not like, hey, all boxes are going to cost this moving forward. It was this product costs this.
I wouldn't mind if all supplemental sets going forward, or I think they call them expansion sets now, if all expansion sets were more expensive going forward and carried this type of price point and these type of like, because it's also, there's another 100 cards in the set that say Super Slam did not have. Super Slam was approximately like a 280 card set.
Yeah, and this is like 300 plus cards.
370, 380 card set.
Yeah, it's tremendous amount of cards.
So there's more being added to the game. I'm okay with it, you know? That's probably another reason why it costs more, is because there's more design work that went into it because there's more cards being designed.
Yes, and that also makes a ton of sense, right? The amount of dev work that went into this definitely tracks. Okay, now I think it is time for us to talk about which cards are we the most excited to learn about. So in the Arsenal zone, we're going to talk about cards that have been revealed. But for right now, we're going to talk about some art that was shown off that we really want to see the card designs for. Fuzzy, do you want to start us off?
Sure. I think the first card I want to talk about, it's a little bit of an unassuming art in the set, but there's a character walking across a tightrope holding a pot on their head that screams ninja to me. It looks like it takes place in Mysteria, and I'm pretty much 90% expecting there to be some sort of combo card in the set. I'm like 60% expecting it to expand on older combo lines, either head jab, leg tap, or the crane line.
You know, if you think that head jab got its support in Outsiders, they kind of need to do the same thing for leg tap, right?
Yeah, you could say that. There's also like the torrent of tempo and the bad ninja guy.
Bad ninja hasn't memorized every single combo line. Crazy.
There's also the torrent of tempo and soul bead strike lines, which are like also printed in supplemental sets and got support in supplemental sets. So I'm totally expecting something there.
Do you think there's going to be a brand new line? Like this could be the start of a brand new line?
That would be pretty sick too. I'd get excited about any card that has the word combo on it. I'm easy. So when I saw this art, it made me think of the type of thing that could be part of a combo line. It looks very ninja-esque to me. And there's other stuff that looks mystic oriented, but I'm expecting cards that I can play in Katsu as well. So that's what that art made me think of.
Yeah. The first card that I am interested in is that there's going to be a Florian card. One, I've been really excited to see how many hero art they're printing. That was something I said I really liked about Super Slam, is the fact that they printed like the heroes doing things. And I'm like, yes, give them character and put them in the world and show me what they're doing. You know, flesh these people out a bit more. And this one is Florian mourning a fallen oaken elk on the forest floor. And I don't think that can be a non-attack action card. I don't think it has to do with making rune chants. I think they may finally give him a progressive attack action card. And that's all I can hope for.
Why can't it be a non-attack action?
I just don't want it to be. I feel like Florian has been just so trapped in this extremely passive, extremely slow element of like, just being boring. I don't know. He needs his light up the leaves. He needs his ring of roses.
Yeah, you're like most proactive plays when you swing felling.
And like, yeah, but the other Earth heroes can do that too. Like, I want something that feels uniquely proactive for Florian to play before his hero ability is online.
And that art's pretty badass. Related to what you're talking about, I think we will definitely see a lot of opportunities for us to see older characters in new, refreshing contexts or doing new things. And I think it's a chance for LSS to actually progress the story a little bit. Like, hey, here's the last time we saw them, but here's where they are now.
Yeah.
Or we'll just see them doing the exact same stuff, but we'll see.
Probably the exact same thing. But you know what? That's okay as long as they get fleshed out, you know?
Another art that I thought was just really cool. Like, I don't even have an agenda here. There's like this guy with a mystic scroll and there's a mummy and it looks like it's very necromancer coded. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I want to see this card.
Yeah, more base Necromancer cards would be pretty sick, and that one looks pretty Necromancer coded.
Yeah,
But the issue with Necromancer cards is that they also look really shadow coded.
that's true. This could be a shadow card. There's like lots of shadows in the art that I can see.
Yeah, it's also like how much purple versus how much green. That's sort of how they've color coded the two classes to be distinct.
And this doesn't really have any purple or green.
Yeah.
It has some blue though.
Maybe it's Runeblade. Because Runeblade will typically also sort of have that Demonastery vibe to it.
I could see that.
It could be a Viscerai card.
There's just skulls and stuff going around. So, well, I'm excited to see how this card plays out. It's cool art. That's all I'm saying.
I also just being excited for like more base Necromancer.
Yeah.
My second art I want to shout out is Adult Blaze. Are we getting an Adult Blaze in this set? Maybe
I missed that one.
There's an art of a female wizard standing on a sort of outcropping of rock with her hands up. She's in big red robes.
I see it now.
And these fire sigils are like circling around the outcropping. And it looks like an older Blaze. Now, is that just because, you know, redheaded female wizard in big red robes? Okay, yeah, kinda. But I think like it has been super weird that some of these promo heroes that are Majestic only literally can't get played in Sage. But like, why can't we play Blaze in Sage? I think that would be a lot of fun, especially with like some of the easy opt cards being gone, like Fate Foreseen. So it would be also Kano's leaving really, really soon. He only needs like one battle hardened, a few more PQs before he's gone. And having this base wizard ready to go with a more healthier play pattern that's been discussed by the community, a more interesting quest to play, I think it would be really sick to see an Adult Plays come out in Compendium of Rathe.
It's interesting that you say that because while I'm always hyped for new heroes, I'm really interested to see if they print any new heroes in this set because like most expansion sets, we get some new heroes, you know, like it definitely happens, but they're not necessarily the focus, you know?
I mean, we got Arachne in Dynasty.
That's true.
Right?
So and we got new heroes in Dusk Till Dawn. We got new Prism, new
so it's not like
Vincent.
They can't do it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
They have printed heroes in every supplemental set, so we'll probably almost certainly get some.
Mm-hmm.
Probably almost certainly, you know?
Even if they just downshift the Blaze from Majestic to Rare, so that, or like Token, so that she is playable in Sage, I think would be a big win.
Well, since you mentioned Blaze being a hero you'd love to see in Silver Age, let's talk a little bit about Silver Age and all the things that they mentioned about it in Yellow Pitch. You ready?
Yeah, I'm definitely ready. Lot of discussion about Sage, and it looks like LSS is going all in on this format. And I know they said they would, and we were like, what do they mean by that?
All in is a really good word for it. I think based on the announcements they made, you can expect to be either playing or watching Silver Age pretty much as you would be playing Classic Constructed, unless you're intentionally avoiding it or something. And we'll talk about a lot of the ways that they're incorporating it. As an example, there's going to be an entire skirmish season devoted to Silver Age.
Yeah, along with Pro Tour Las Vegas is going to have Sage as its secondary format in a similar place to where Draft has been in the past or Blitz has been in the past, or how Living Legend was at Worlds this year. It's going to be the second format there. There's also going to be a split ProQuest season where Sage is going to be involved for ProQuest Las Vegas.
And that's happening like late February, early March. I like to mention the dates because sometimes it's really easy, especially when they announce things all at once, for it to feel really nebulous. Like that skirmish season we were just talking about is in May. You know, in May, we're going to have a Silver Age only skirmish season, which is after these ProQuests. We're going to have an opportunity to play Silver Age competitively at our locals at ProQuests. And then we're also going to be having these skirmishes in May.
Yeah. But also after that ProQuest, it's going to be at the Pro Tour, right?
Right.
And then probably the biggest news about the changes to tournaments is that there are no more battle hardens. Instead, they are getting replaced with something called showdowns, or they are being just strictly upgraded to callings. So those standalone battle hardens, sort of like battle hardened Santa Clarita that happened recently, that would become a calling. That would become a bigger event that is expected to go on for longer, have a bigger card pool, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, the way they talked about this in the article is that if you want to play Flesh and Blood competitively, if you want to travel to various events, there's a little bit of legwork involved in trying to decide which events are worth your time to go to.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to standardize these different, they call them stops on the world tour. So now you don't have to think like, okay, is this battle hardened big enough for me to justify going to? Is this calling going to be big enough? So they're just kind of only doing these calling events, and every calling is going to have a showdown with it. And a showdown is just a one-day event, just like a battle hardened used to be. And every showdown is going to be Silver Age.
Yeah. So if you were to like 0-4 bomb out of the calling, you could then sign up for the battle hardened the next day and like run it back and see if you do better with maybe some of those top players still playing in the calling, still trying their best over there. And that is being replaced by these showdowns, which are Sage only. They will not be any other format other than Sage as far as I'm aware.
And every showdown is a 5K tournament, $5,000 on the line.
Which is a pretty big jump up from what previous Battle Hardened prize support was. So definitely an upgrade there. But these Battle Hardens going away, I think, is a pretty big signal. I think LSS wants more people to be able to travel and justify traveling.
Yeah.
Which maybe was seen in how the World Tour this year was sort of dominated by Brody Spurlock, just because he could travel to every event. You know, he could go to IPAC for a random Battle Hardened, for a random calling, you know? And it was harder for other players to justify that. Now with these Battle Hardens being upgraded to calling so that there's more prize support, and for these showdowns to have more prize support than the previous Battle Hardens that they're replacing, maybe it becomes a more worthwhile option for players to make that travel arrangements and to make that World Tour a little bit more competitive. But I have a question for you, Fuzzy. With the fact that Silver Age is going to be at the Pro Tour, is going to be a very big part of these calling events, you know, Battle Hardens. Battle Hardens is tier 2, right? The Pro Tour is tier 4. Silver Age is going to be from tier 4 to tier 2. Are we getting mixed messaging about Sage and who it's for?
I think Legend Story Studios is really trying to push this format and set it up to succeed. We've seen them do that with Living Legend, but they didn't try hard enough. I think that's the takeaway that they're getting from the fact that Living Legend still hasn't had as much support as they wanted it to. They made it a format in Worlds. They let it be one of the formats showcased in Skirmish Season, I think multiple times, but it still hasn't been really adopted by the community. I think with Silver Age, they've noticed that Project Blue was very popular, even as a format that didn't exist yet. And they're publishing it as a full format, and I think they want it to be a big marquee format, and I think the only way they know how to do that is to make it a format at the big events, as well as give people lots of opportunities at locals. If you think Silver Age is only meant to be a competitive format, I think that's not really necessarily how the game works, because Classic Constructed, the big format, is played at all levels of the game, right? Now, it is normal for Skirmish Season to take a break from Classic Constructed, but I think that's just because they want to highlight formats that haven't had a chance to develop as strong a player base as Classic Constructed. And Silver Age is still new, so it still makes sense to me that it's an alternative format, even if they want it to be one of the big ones. Does that feel like it answers your question, Clark?
Oh, that went above and beyond my wildest expectations, Fuzzy. Because as I wrote that question and as I was thinking about it, I also thought, I don't think that way about CC.
Right.
So why am I thinking that way about Sage? Like, why is Blitz, LL, and Sage, and even Draft, held to almost a different standard than CC? And by putting them on the same plane, I almost appreciate how it sort of tackles that assumption of mine. So you bringing up CC there was like pitch fucking perfect.
I do want to bring up Draft really quick. I was very appreciative when Brian Gottlieb in the keynote mentioned, "Hey, all you Draft enjoyers out there." I'm like, me, Fuzzy. Yes, we're taking a little bit of a break away from draft as we focus on Silver Age and Living Legend, but we're not forgetting about draft. Draft will have its time. It's going to come back and become more of a big thing. It just makes sense to me that they do need to spend some time investing in Silver Age to bring it to a big head. And we're probably not going to be playing as much Silver Age in the second half of 2026 as we are in the first half of 2026 because they need to just put a whole bunch of fucking attention on Silver Age if they want it to succeed as a format. So I can appreciate that.
Yeah. I also think it's very not funny, but I think it's going to be really interesting to see how people respond to the design of these sets that have seemingly not cared about draft, right? It was very much an afterthought in Super Slam, and it's just not a thing at all for Compendium of Rathe. And I have had a lot of people, close friends and locals, say, I don't think LSS should draft at all. Like, get rid of draft altogether. Every single card you print should be constructed viable. And that is how they should design. And you know what? That's exactly what Compendium of Rathe is kind of saying it's going to be. If not, constructed playable in CC, constructed playable in Sage. So, like, it's a pretty big swing, and I think it's something that some players have been asking.
So, not our main topic there, just a fun little tangent. I want to talk about one of the more radical things about Silver Age as a format, which is already kind of radical for being commons and rares only. For context, when the two main formats of the game were Classic Constructed and Blitz, before Living Legend even existed, the LSS knew that they wanted to design their game around the Living Legend system. They wanted to have a game where the community can have an impact on the future of the game by letting the tournament results have an impact on which heroes are legal in the future. So that has always been something that LSS is trying to fine tune and change. And for example, there's no Living Legend Blitz format, right? In Blitz, when heroes were rotating out, they would leave forever. In CC, when heroes rotate out, they enter a format that nobody really likes. Not nobody, but like it's not very popular, right? They're having problems getting people to play this format that has always been in the background of how we think about the game and its history. So with Silver Age, they've decided on a new system that I think still uses the community as a foundation for what decides what's legal, but doesn't have the issue of inherently creating a second format that they can't support. And that's this community vote system. Literally, the community is all going to come together, and through the powers of democracy, we are going to decide which heroes should no longer be in the format. However, it's only temporary because they rotate out for a set number of seasons, set releases, and then they will come back into the format. Specifically, the community will pick 3 heroes to rotate out, and LSS will pick 1, so they have at least one little thumb on their scales, And the first time a hero is voted out of the format, it'll be gone for 1 competitive season, but then it'll come back. It's not gone forever like the Living Legend system. It's rotated out temporarily. If a hero leaves the format a second time, it'll be gone for 2 seasons and then come back. After a third time, 3 seasons and come back. So you might have heroes like a comet that just kind of enter the format and then immediately leave again.
I love that metaphor, Fuzzy.
And then they'll come back and then leave again immediately. Or like Kano. Let's say everyone hates Kano, right? He'll be here
for Sage. In Sage, he's so fucking bad.
He would be here for 1 season every once in a while,
Yeah. Definitely the vibe. How do we feel about the community deciding rotation?
I am a big fan of how LSS has decided to make the community such an important part of the format. I thought that was one of the cool things about the Living Legend system. This feels like an evolution of that, where they can't have a Living Legend system and they need something kind of simpler. And this is also less competitively focused, right? It's about how you feel at a local armory rather than who's winning the big events.
Well, I mean, it's still going to be it's going all the way to tier 4 events, Fuzzy. We can't exactly say that it's not going to be a big deal.
Yes, but instead of only the competitive players having any sort of input into the system, it's about how armories are impacted as well.
Yes.
And, honestly, the armory players are probably a larger population of the game, so this kind of makes sense to me.
But I feel like there's gonna be like political campaigns leading up to votes.
Sometimes that can be hype, Now there are consequences for playing the hero that everybody hates.
Yeah. Or I think there's going to be certain populations that can just impact the vote. Like, how are they going to do this vote, right? I am someone who has done education on how to collect opinions from the masses.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that can go wrong in that system, Fuzzy.
Yeah.
Like, if this is going to be an online vote, that means you're not capturing anyone who isn't online. Is this going to, like, go out through gym profiles? Is this going to, like, go into their email inboxes? Are you going to mail letters to people? Like, how are we collecting the data from individuals? And who's actually going to care enough to put down their votes?
Sure.
And then who's going to impact those votes? Who is winning the pro tours and who is doing well at these showdowns is going to make a big difference. I also think, like, who's winning at your local armories is going to make a big difference for players. But really, the opinions of content creators are going to be a massive thing with this.
That's pretty true.
They are the ones with the most natural, organic outreach and can really kind of say whatever they want on their own platform.
Yeah, like on our podcast, we could be like, hey, if you really love Pitch It To Me podcast, make sure you vote for Keynote to leave the format. Like, that could be something that happens with other people.
I don't think it's going to be that explicit.
But even then, that sounds like a little fun to me, Like,
it kind of does. I'd like to see Dice Commando and DM Armada like do a political ad against each other for which hero to ban. That sounds really silly and fun, provided it is silly and fun.
Yeah, it is just a card game. I 100% expect this to change over time. I think you're right to expect that it might get messy, and social systems like this can get ugly for sure. So maybe it will change over time and they'll take away our ability to vote.
It's getting a little too real there, buddy. It's almost like democracies have issues. Okay, regardless.
You heard it here, guys. Clark thinks there's issues with democracy.
No, please.
But overall, I think this is a really bold choice by LSS, and I'm really excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, easily one of the biggest swings they've done in recent years.
The weird thing is that Sage is not actually a format until, like, I mean, you can start playing it. People are playing it now. But I think it was really important that we got to see this context for how it's going to change in the future, because I think it's a huge part of what makes these formats so, like, alive and exciting,
I think it's also very interesting. Most of the early conversations I've heard around this, most of the words I've heard used around this is bans, but these aren't bans, right? We're not going to be able to ban cards or restrict cards. We're going to be able to choose who gets rotated.
Yeah.
And hero choices only. But that can get impacted by a lot of things. They also said that they're doing this vote at the start of every new set and the start of every new season. But how much information will we really have to make informed choices? Like, I think that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, because that's when things are the most shaken up. You know, that we're timing a rotation in the most undefined part of the season. Yeah, like, how am I supposed to know who I want to leave the format? I just got this format.
Yeah. And, like, maybe we do it at the end of a format, but then what's the promise that, like, what's being printed in the next set doesn't, like, make that hero not an issue anymore?
It better.
Or it, like, breaks some other hero in the format, right?
I guess that's where the LSS pick comes in, because LSS actually knows what's in the set and has a better idea of how it'll impact.
I also really want ranked choice voting.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe my Democratic Socialist is coming out a little bit, but I'd love some ranked choice voting.
Yeah, give me more than exactly one vote for exactly one hero.
Yeah. And, like, I'd also love for no rotation to be an option too, because this sounds great up until we're like, no, we love the format. Don't change it. And then it's like, well, we're rotating these three heroes out just to shake things up. And everyone's like, no, we had like the perfect heavy hitters meta where things were super wide open and super nice. Like we don't need to ban anything.
Nah, give me rotation.
But I'd like for no rotation to be an option.
Okay.
To
like
select.
if the community votes as a majority to not rotate.
Look, all I'm saying is that when you make a survey, you need to make sure that neutral is a selectable option. Like that's a really important thing for data validity.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, you gotta put no option on there.
So that's Sage, and that's why you should care about it, because it's going to become what everybody's talking about and playing for the next 6 months.
Can I actually ask one more thing, Fuzzy, which is what do you think about those cascading ban lengths? That like they're gone for 1 season, then 2, then 3, then 4.
I think it's cute.
Just cute?
Yeah, like again, like in 10 years time, are we going to have heroes leaving for like 6 competitive seasons? That's like over a year.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time for that to happen. And I think...
And so much can change in a year.
It's very cute that they put that rule in there, but it's hard to know if those are the right numbers, you know? Mm-hmm. Like maybe they're like, let's have a 5 season limit. Like that way Keynote can be here every year and a half.
You returning to Keynote. I would say more like, yeah, Fuzzy, imagine if like Chain was constantly coming back in CC.
Yeah.
Right? Like if it was like, well, he LL'd, now he'll be gone for a year. And then a year later, they're like, well, is Chain healthy again? And then Chain just like dominates another season.
Yeah.
So like, do we need to keep proactively banning it? But then once the bans get long enough that like it'll be a year and a half. And then the community's like, wait, what was Chain like again? We had so many new players come in that they're like, yeah, let's see what this Chain... I care about these other heroes that I've been having to deal with.
Yeah.
And then all the old players are like, please, you have to keep banning Chain. You have to keep him out of the format. But then they don't. And then Chain comes back and then it's all Chain for 1 season. Like, there's a lot of weird things that I feel like can happen with this system. I think the LSS ban is supposed to be the stopgap for those problems.
But they only get one.
What happens when there's multiple?
Oh, another thing I like about the cascading length of rotation is that over time, there's going to be more and more heroes out of the format in order to balance the fact that more and more heroes are being added in. That's important. That's an important reason why they put that in there.
Yeah.
They have to be like, LSS is notorious for creating a really cool system that doesn't work perfectly and then making changes about it later. And I just love that part of Legend Story Studios and Flesh and Blood. So I'm just expecting them to make changes again in the future.
The pessimist in me loves thinking about all the ways something can go wrong. And like, how does this system...
No, it's fun to think about.
Problems?
Yeah.
That's a very Clark thing to do.
That's just a good part of design, you know?
Yeah.
You want to like come up with a good idea, understand what could go wrong with it, and then you test it out. You like...
Yeah, you implement it anyway.
Yeah.
Because like any system is going to be leaving somebody behind or is going to be not meeting the needs of some of your players because there is no such thing as a perfect system.
Yeah.
There's no utopia. So like, of course there's going to be issues, but thinking about and being aware of those issues and acknowledging them ahead of time, I think can be really, really important because it can prepare you for when it happens.
Well said. I think that's about all I wanted to get through in Yellow Pitch. Did you want to add anything about Silver Age?
Just this little thing at the end, but I want you to ask it, Fuzzy, because I think you'll ask it better than me.
So how hype are we on a scale of 1 to 10?
7, when pin spoilers start coming out, it'll be a 10.
Oh, yeah.
Because like 300 brand new cards for Sage. Oh my God, my little brewer mind is going to go crazy. But right now, I'm seeing all the gaps in the heroes when I build them.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, not enough defensive or life gain tools for RKO. Not enough this for this hero. Not enough that for that hero.
I think I agree with that. I don't quite have as much of a reason to care about Silver Age yet, but once they start like really fleshing out ideas for a wide history of heroes, then it's going to be pretty awesome.
I think it's going to be great. I think Compendium of Rathe is really going to set up Sage moving forward. I think that's going to be a really big thing.
Just a little thing. Anyway, let us know in the comments. Are you hyped for Sage to be what everyone's talking about for the next 6 months, along with CC?
Next year, easily. Because like, here's the thing. They haven't announced it but it's gonna be the Worlds format, right?
Mm.
Like if they're doing it for Pro Tours,
I think they have to see how this first 6 months shakes out before they officially announce it.
true.
But
True.
I mean, yeah, probably.
Probably.
Or maybe 3 formats. Maybe there's draft in there too.
2026, the year of Sage.
Yeah.
You didn't see it, but I did a little Nixon double peace sign.
Yep, Nixon.
I am not a crook.
Our favorite president.
No, please.
Before we move on to our Arsenal zone, it looks like we don't quite have enough time for a full-on blue pitch today, but I wanted to spend just a couple seconds to tell you the things that we are having our eye on, but not really divulging into here today.
Because they literally said 2 things about it in the keynote.
Yes. First is mastery packs. There's going to be a mastery pack in quarter 3 and a mastery pack in quarter 4 of 2026. We're excited to see how that shakes out. They said that they learned some lessons from Mastery Pack Guardian, and they're going to be doing some things a little bit differently, hopefully better, hopefully more hype. We'll see.
Yeah.
What I think would be funny, I know we're not talking about it, if they're like, oh, Mastery Pack Guardian sucked because it wasn't that strong. So when we make Mastery Pack Runeblade, we'll have to push it.
No.
It'll be cracked and pushed as hell because that's what the players want.
LSS, I swear to God, please look at my data. Please look at my data. Runeblades don't need it. Illusionists don't need it.
They also announced tournament packs as a replacement for the kind of promos that you would normally see at big events like the Pro Tour or Callings or World Championships or Nats.
Yeah, they said it's going to be common and rare staples. Versus what they have been doing, which are like EA Majestics from the newly released classes or whatever classes are in the newly released sets, which has been interesting because sometimes they've been really, really good hits, like with EA Raisin Army. That was like super sick to get at PTLA. But then they will do like EA Jagged Edge, and we're a lot less excited to get that. So it's been a little hit or miss. This promises to be maybe a little bit more consistent, but maybe with less ceiling. Like the ceiling's been lowered.
And it kind of lines up with this big shift where they're moving away from standard promos to things that you get in packs. Like we saw gem packs replacing armory promos.
Yeah.
So this just kind of seems like something LSS is generally shifting towards, where people like opening booster packs. Who knew?
Who knew?
People would rather get a random card than like a card. Anyway, they also announced the Hulse Armory deck.
Yeah, Hulse Armory deck is going to be pretty sick.
Armory
I love
Origins.
seeing another warrior.
There was best of 3 in top 8. We thought about talking about that, but I think it was overall pretty hype. I don't think we have a lot more to say about it.
Yeah, it was solid. It was interesting how in the quarterfinals, they only really showed us the last games of each match before semifinals started, and then they were okay showing the full 3 best of 3. Probably a technical limitation and a time limitation that went into that. But I appreciate it. I think it really shows a mastery, and I think it makes that top 8 bracket feel very powerful. But I wonder if having a losers bracket could get the same feeling without having to have that extra format.
Interesting. I like that idea.
But I also just love losers brackets because it makes fighting games hype as fuck.
Yeah.
Watching that person lose in quarterfinals and then like run it back, like it every single time I've seen losers a losers bracket get incorporated into a game, it has improved the viewer experience.
I think with that, we're ready to move on to our Arsenal zone.
Yeah, the Arsenal zone.
Normally, our Arsenal zone is where we all shout at a card that we've been thinking about, and we like to take suggestions from our Patreons to see what cards they've been thinking about lately. So that's what we're going to lead off with.
We're doing something a little bit different, where for our cards, we're going to be talking about cards that have been revealed for Compendium of Rathe. But our patron is still going to be one of their old submissions for cards they've been thinking about.
The suggestion that we've selected today is from Exaliver. Shout out to Exaliver. He's cool.
Woo, woo, woo.
He's shouting out Savor Bloodshed.
Savor Bloodshed is a red 0-cost assassin warrior hybrid non-attack action card that blocks for 3. It says your next dagger attack this turn gets +4 power. The next time you hit a marked hero with a dagger this turn, draw a card, and it has go again.
Exaliver said it's super simple, super above rate, cool lines with reaction speed mark, great payoff for the mark archetype. Yeah, I think Savor Bloodshed is an example of a pushed card that you kind of need to have pushed cards in the game that are clearly strong and above rate. That way you can form game plans around them, and, classes need pushed cards. This is a good one for Warrior too. So the fact that Warrior gets some pushed cards, even though it's something that probably only Fang can use really well.
Yeah, it's just about, it's only really Fang. I guess there's a world where you do like Dagger Dorinthia, but I haven't seen those lists get much success, and they don't run a lot of marked stuff anyway.
Do you want to see more about it? I think it's okay.
I think the one thing I'll say about it is that Savor Bloodshed is an interesting design because its floor is really, really high as a 0 for +4 pump, but we've seen that on other cards that block for 2. This is an example where making something a majestic and giving it a more pushed playability while increasing the block value is something that they felt comfortable doing. They've done it on other cards like Mordred Tide, where like, oh, this is a big power card that I want to play, but it's also the card that blocks for 3. If it only blocked for 2, you'd almost always play this card. It's almost always the correct option to play this card. But by letting it block 3, there are some hands, some situations where it's more correct to block with this one.
Yeah, it makes it more interesting, the fact that it can block.
Yeah, so
it's a fun way of looking at it.
So they buff it, but they buff it in a really interesting way where it actually creates a bit more of a tension. And this is just a card that I think shows that off well, so I wanted to talk about it.
Awesome shout out. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So like Clark said, for our picks for Arsenal Zone today, we're going to be talking about some of the spoiled cards, the revealed cards. The first one that I want to talk about is Synapse Spark Cap. This is a mechanologist equipment base head.
Oh, base!
It's battle worn 1, and as an action, you can tap Synapse Spark Cap and banish an Evo from your hand in order to create a Ponder token. This card is clearly good in Teklovozen, especially because the bar is already very low for a playable base equipment. So being able to have a headpiece that actually gives you really good utility, you get to banish Evos from your hand in order to get a pseudo card draw, is actually like amazing, helping you set up for later. And this is part of this is a good example of a statement that we heard from the devs. I think this was in the Worlds packet that we saw handed out, where they said that most heroes are going to get support of some type from Compendium of Rathe, but Teklovozen specifically was singled out as a hero that they want to support, and they believe that they've lived up to that expectation.
Yeah, I know that I talked about this a little bit in our equipment episode. I know I talked about it a little bit in our Bright Lights episode where we returned to Bright Lights design, but like Evos just feel like their math isn't right. Like there's something about the math that just feels so underwhelming, tremendously underwhelming. And them saying that they are going to return to Teklovozen, the Evo-based hero, and do something about that, really, really rewarding in my mind. Plus, Teklo is pretty much unplayable in Sage. So, like, just the fact that, like, he's going to become playable. Not with this card, because this card's a majestic, but there's going to be cards that are going to make him Sage playable.
Yeah, because you can't run Singularity, so you don't have that game plan.
You can't run Singularity. You can't run any of the blue majestic Evos.
Yeah.
You
just get a good weapon after you take the time to set all your shit up, so.
Yeah, you don't even get the Battle Worn or Arcane Barrier base equipment. Like, there's just so much that makes him not playable in Sage.
So I think I'm excited to see the positive consequences of cards like this in Classic Constructed and in Silver Age.
Yeah. My turn? This card that I want to talk about is Savage Claw. So this is a majestic weapon and is also Pen 001. It's the very first one in the set code.
That's kind of wild.
I know. For an action, it's a brute weapon, claw one-handed, where I can pay 2 and tap it to attack.
Shouldn't a legendary go there?
If a card with 6 or more power was pitched to attack with this, the attack gets +1 power. This sucks. This is not a good weapon. This is not a meaningful replacement for Mandible Claw. This is also what the question mark was for RKO. This is RKO's signature weapon, but the fact of the matter is that this doesn't really do anything with RKO. So ultimately, I'm pretty disappointed in this. I think they had the chance to find a nice synergistic attack for RKO, and they didn't. And that's a little disappointing.
I do think this is way more boring than a lot of designs could have been for Reviled KO. I think like people might be underestimating how good this card is, because anytime I can reliably pitch one card in order to swing for 4 on a weapon, that's already better than most of the one-handed hammers that Guardians are using.
Yes, but RKO is supposed and is encouraged to run blue attacks with 1 or 2 power.
Yeah.
That don't turn this on, because this does not say if a card with 6 or more power is in your pitch zone.
Right.
Like how high-pitched howl works, how rough up works, or even how the new gauntlets work. This is if I pitch a 6-powered card to it.
No, I could only see this card being good in a deck that is mid-range to defensive. Like, it's very hard to run this weapon in a aggressive game plan.
Well, hold on, which is what RKO already is, but he has to build his blue base around attacks that will never activate this weapon.
Right. But he's still going to run like the 6 of them, like the Tutor. He's probably still going to run Wrecker Romp, I imagine. But
he is not on, no RKO list is currently on Wrecker Romp.
Well, if you had a good reason to, like a really reliable 4 for 1 card weapon, maybe.
No, not really. I think this is a big miss from LSS's design team.
I think that's a fair take.
Yeah. But to be fair, Mandible Claw was also not really doing a lot in the list. RKO is kind of not doing things with his weapon anyway. So what's another weapon we're not going to do a lot with, you know? It's fine. It's fine. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
Well, sorry to end on a downer there.
Yeah, maybe we just got that card. Fuzzy does 2 cards. Clark does 1. Oh, I wonder why that happened.
Overall, we're pretty excited for Compendium of Rathe, right?
Oh, dude, I'm ecstatic. The pitch and predictions for this is going to be fantastic. And, like, we didn't get any of Joel's opinion in this episode. So, like, we have to get his voice on this. Like, yeah. I'm sure Joel has some spicy takes about Hala, about, like, what new Bolton cards are going to be.
Yeah, I can't believe he wasn't able to make it for this episode. It could have easily been a very Joel-centered episode.
It very much could have been. I think he has a lot to add about this, so I'm going to look forward to catching his opinions in the future, and you should be on the lookout for future episodes about Compendium, because you know we're going to do more.
All right, thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great evening / day / carpool trip / chores finished / meal that you're cooking, whatever you do while you listen to our podcast.
Also, if you're making a meal, can you send me some?
It's just right.
If not, that's okay. No, I don't want to put anything on you. You know, it's just it's okay. It's whatever. I don't even.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Pitch It To Me podcast is hosted by Fuzzy Delp, Clark Moore, and Joel Recinos. Executive producer, Talon Stradley. Logistics coordinator, John Farkas. Music by Dylan Hulse. Logo by Han V. Sound mixing, Christopher Moore. And last but not least, you. Thank you for listening. Please give us a follow on your favorite social media platform at Pitch It To Me Podcast.
Our pin set, pin 15, Fuzzy.
I still think it's really funny that Compendium of Rathe, they decided to put it as PEN as the set code. Like, why not just come? What's wrong with come?
What's wrong with come? God damn it, what are the errands you got us running for the DA?